In Canada, real estate isn't just an investment, it's a religion. We are taught from birth that the path to wealth is simple. Go to school, get a job, buy the biggest house the bank will let you, and pay it off for 25 years. We believe that our home is our greatest asset. We believe it is our retirement plan. We believe that renting is throwing money away. But what if I told you that for 90% of Canadians, your house is not an asset? What if I told you that your $1.5 million Toronto semi-detached is actually a massive, bleeding liability that is keeping you poor? Robert Kiyosaki said it in Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Your house is not an asset. Canadians ignored him. We said, but prices always go up. Today, we're going to look at the cold, hard math of Canadian home ownership. We're going to strip away the emotion, the FOMO, and the blind faith. Let's break the idol. Hello, I'm Jay from the Maple Finance, here to help fellow Canadians make sense of our money. But please remember this is strictly for educational purposes and not financial advice. Today we will break down owning versus renting in current Canadian real estate market. Let's start with a definition. An accountant will tell you a house is an asset because it has value. It goes on the assets side of your balance sheet. But we are not accountants. We are investors. In the world of wealth building, the definition is simpler. An asset puts money in your pocket. A liability takes money out of your pocket. Look at your house. Does it pay you every month? No, it eats cash flow. You pay the mortgage, you pay the property tax, you pay the hydro, you pay the insurance. You pay for the new roof when it leaks. Your house is a hungry beast. Therefore, by the strict definition of wealth, your personal residence is a liability. But Jay, you scream, it goes up in value. I bought it for $500K and now it's worth $1 million. That's profit. Is it? Let's look at the phantom costs that Canadians love to ignore. Let's run a simulation. You buy a house for $1 million. You put 20% down, $200K, over 25 years at 5% interest. You bought one house for yourself and you bought 75% of a house for the bank, plus $590,000 in interest. That's right, just the loan cost. Property tax in Toronto or Vancouver assumes 0.6%. On a $1 million home, that's $6,000 a year. Over 25 years, adjusted for inflation, that's over $200,000 gone. Maintenance. The golden rule of home ownership is 1% of the value per year. Roofs, furnaces, windows, painting, landscaping. On a $1 million home, that's $10,000 a year. Over 25 years, that's $250,000. Gone. Buying and selling costs. Land transfer tax, realtor fees, 5%, lawyer fees, that's another $100,000 just to enter and exit the casino. When you add it all up, that $1 million home cost you $2.5 million to own. So if you sell it for $2 million in 25 years, you didn't make a profit. You actually lost money in real terms. You just forced yourself to save into a savings account with high fees and a negative interest rate. Now let's look at the alternative. Renting is throwing money away. Is it? Rent buys you a service, shelter. Mortgage interest buys you a service, access to money. Neither creates equity. They are both expenses. The homeowner puts $200,000 down. That money is now trapped. It earns 0% cash flow. The renter takes that $200,000 and puts it into the S&P 500 yielding 8%. In 25 years, without adding a single extra penny, that $200,000 grows to $1.3 million. Liquid cash. And because a renter isn't paying for a new roof, if they invest the difference, say $500 a month, they end up with $2 million plus. The homeowner is house poor. To buy groceries, they have to sell the house or borrow against it. The renter has $2 million in the bank. They can live off the dividends. Who is actually richer? Okay, I've bashed housing enough. Why do Canadians do it anyway? One massive advantage. The principal residence exemption, PRE. In Canada, if you sell your primary home for a profit, you pay zero tax. If you make $1 million in the stock market, the CRA wants a cut. If you make $1 million on your house, the CRA gets nothing. This is the golden handcuff. It is the government bribing you to put all your money into real estate. The other reason is leverage. You can buy a $100 asset with $5 down. If the house goes up 10%, your return on investment isn't 10%, it's 200%. This builds wealth fast in a bull market. But leverage kills you in a bear market. If the house goes down 10%, you lose 200% of your equity. You are underwater. And in Canada, mortgages are full recourse. You can't just walk away. They take the house and sue you for the rest. This leads to being house poor. You live in a palace, but you can't afford furniture. You drive a leased BMW to look the part, but you can't afford gas. You have $1 million in net worth, but if you lost your job tomorrow, you would be insolvent in 3 months. That is not wealth. True wealth is liquidity. A paid-off house gives you neither until you sell it. So, should you never buy a house? No, you can force your house to become an asset. You can transform it from a liability to a moneymaker. Here are the 3 ways to do it. Strategy 1, house hacking. The moment you rent out a basement suite, the math changes. That tenant pays a portion of your mortgage. Suddenly, your house is generating income. Expenses become tax deductible. You are converting lifestyle costs into business expenses. Strategy 2, the Smith maneuver, the ultimate cheat code for homeowners. Instead of letting equity sit dead, you re-borrow it to invest in dividend stocks. You make the government pay for the financing costs via tax refunds. If you aren't doing this, you're leaving hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table. Strategy 3, the tax-free exit. You buy the family home, you pay it down, it grows tax-free. Then you sell it. You trigger the principal residence exemption. You pocket $2 million tax-free. And then, this is the key, you downsize. You buy a smaller condo. You take the $1 million difference and invest it into income-producing assets. Now, your house has effectively funded your retirement. But only if you sell. If you stay in that big empty house until you die, that equity never helps you. So, is your house an asset? If you just live in it and pay the bills? No, it is a liability. But if you house hack, use the Smith maneuver, or downsize, it can be the engine of your wealth. The danger is in the blind faith. Don't buy because renting is dead money. Buy because you ran the numbers and understand the opportunity cost. Stop worshiping the idol of real estate. Start worshiping the god of cash flow. I'm Jay. This is the Maple Finance. Thanks for watching, and keep your stick on the ice.